I've been a great fan of puzzles since I was a little boy. I always loved puzzles and I collected them. I have all sorts of interesting puzzles. Over the years, I used to go to puzzle shops whenever I could find an interesting one, and I would look through for puzzle, and I would pick one either because it was interesting, just visually, or it looked particularly challenging. And one of my favorite episodes with puzzles was I walked into a store in just outside of Washington, D.C. It was a small little store, and all they sold was puzzles. I was in heaven. Just two small rooms, and in the corner, I found one puzzle. I always looked at the ones to see, that they often say, if you can solve it in so many minutes, you're okay. If you, so many minutes, you're smart. So many minutes, you're a genius. And I picked up this one that looked really fascinating. It was called a magic cube, and it looked really interesting. But when I read the instructions, it said on it, if you can solve this, you're a genius. Sold. I bought it and I started working on it. I was actually on a business trip with a couple of other people, and I was standing there in the subway in Washington, D.C., playing with this magic cube. And it took me probably a couple of months before I finally solved it. And for me, solving something the first time doesn't count unless I know exactly how I solved it and I can solve it again. So it took me a couple months until I could solve it a couple of times. And I had tremendous fun with this thing. And then a few months later, it started coming out as a popular item. Mm-hmm. And it was renamed the Rubik's Cube. So by the time the Rubik's Cube craze first started, I could already pick one up and just solve it and put it back down again. And I had great fun one day that year that I was living up in Syracuse, New York, and that's where the State Fair is. And there was a booth that was dedicated to nothing but Rubik's Cubes. And the guy just had a table with unsolved Rubik's Cubes all over it. And I walked up and acted very innocent, as if I had no idea what they were. And I just started, saying, what is this? Oh, it's a puzzle. Ah, well, what are you supposed to do with it? You're supposed to get the same colors on every side. Oh, really? He's like, yeah, it's really, really hard. And I chatted with him for about a minute. And then I very calmly took the cube and put it down with the sides looking like this, which, if you can see, yeah, there's a dot in the middle of each one. And I just said, yeah, you're right, that is really hard. And turned and walked off. And he was screaming like, wait a minute, how did you do that? Come back here. As I walked off. So I told that story on the, was it the 30th anniversary, I think, of the invention of the Rubik's Cube. And I shared a post on Google Plus about it. And I was absolutely delighted when I got a comment thanking me for the story from none other than Erno Rubik himself. Absolutely made my day.